Hey guys, it's Brantzen, and since we last talked, I've been grinding the 5-5. And things have been going alright, I guess. I've played 9 sessions of 5-5. I've booked wins in 8 of them, but they've all been pretty small wins. It honestly feels like I'm just like punching away at a granite wall, just chipping little by little. And it's kind of scary because one big loss could wipe out most of these wins. So hopefully things will turn around. I'm playing today 5-5 again, so hit that intro. Cheers.
With the guy Brantzen, who has the Brantzen poker logs.
No! Let's go! Let's go!
Tell him he's got a lot of class, and it's all low.
All right, Papa needs a big win. Okay, let's jump right into this 5-5 session. I pick up pocket deuces in the hijack. The low jack limps, I raise it up to $25. Small blind, big blind, low jack, all call. Come on, set. Come on, set. No set. King 4-6. Action checks to me. I'm not betting into 3 opponents. I check. Turn is another king, and my opponents all checked me again. The first time they checked, they could have had anything, but the second time, it indicates a lot more weakness. I'm gonna take a stab. Who knows? I might even have the best hand now. I bet 40 bucks. Small blind folds, big blind folds, low jack folds. Let's go. I take it down. Moving on, I get ace 10 in the low jack, open to $20 and get called by the button and the small blind. 3 ways to a flop of ace king 9, all clubs. Keep in mind, I do have the 10 of clubs, so that's nice. Small blind checks, actions on me. I could definitely bet here, but I like to have some stronger hands in my checking range, and I'm not looking to play a giant pot with my particular hand. The button checks as well, and we're off to a turn which comes a 3. Small blind checks. This time I am going to bet. Half pot, 30 bucks. The button folds, but the small blind calls. The river is a jack. It's a toss-up of whether I want to check or keep betting for thin value. But there's something about my opponent that just looks a little too excited. After he checks, I decide to go for the conservative check back, and he shows ace jack for a rivered 2 pair, and I'm glad I didn't bet the river. Next up, ace king on the button, under the gun limps. The low jack raises to $20. I, of course, am going for that 3 bet. I make it $60 and only the low jack calls. Flop comes 9-8 for 2 hearts, low jack checks. I go for a C bet of $40 and the low jack calls. Looking for an ace, a king, a heart. Turn is the 9 of diamonds. I think this is going to be a better turn for his range than mine. So when he checks, I check back. River is a 10. He checks again. I have plenty of showdown value here, so I just check back. And he shows ace 10 for a rivered pair. Sucks. I had him pretty crushed up until the river. Oh well. Ace 6 offsuit on the button. There's a straddle, so I open to $35 and only the straddle calls. Heads up to a flop of jack 3-7 rainbow. Straddle checks, and I go for a C bet of $25, to which the straddle calls. The turn comes another jack. He checks. I'm not going to continue bluffing here. I check back, and the river is a 9. Now he decides to bet $40. What does he have? He could have a jack, but the second jack makes it a little less likely. I don't think he's betting a 3 or a 7 here. If he hit a straight with 8-10, I think he'd bet bigger. I don't know. This looks a little fishy to me. I make the call.
You got a pair, you're good. No pair? Oh, okay. Yeah.
And ace high is good. I move seats to get in position of the more action players, and as luck would have it, I pick up pocket jacks under the gun. I open to $20, the cutoff calls, but then the button 3 bets to $125. Oh, it's strong. I opened under the gun and he's 3 betting me. I might be getting coolered here, but I can't fold. I have about 450 in my stack. All in is definitely an option, but I opt to just call this time. Cutoff comes along too, and we're 3 ways to a flop of 4-8-8 rainbow. I check, cutoff checks, and the button now goes all in for my remaining $320. And I think this is just one of those spots where you gotta close your eyes and hope for the best. I make the call. Cutoff only has 40 bucks left. He wants nothing to do with this. He folds and we're off to a run out. Please, one-time jacks, just be good. Just be good. He shows ace jack and jacks are good. Let's go. All right, we're winning, folks. I pick up pocket 7s on the button, courtesy of my friend Joe the dealer. There's a new cowboy in town. He just sat down with gold jewelry and a wife on speakerphone telling him to come home right now. Sounds like the perfect opponent to me. Couple limpers, I make it 55 buccarinos, and our wild stallion goes all in his very first hand for 450 big ones. It's a tough one, but sometimes when you're face to face with a wild bronco, live or die, it's time to ride. Yaw! He shows ace king, and I take down another big one. No more westerns. I pick up ace king of hearts on the hijack. I open at $20 and get called by the button and the small blind. 3 ways to a flop of deuce, 6, 7, 2 clubs, and a heart. And immediately the small blind goes all in for 60 bucks. Now this is our wild bronco again. He could have anything. Honestly, ace high could be good. I also have the backdoor flush draw, 2 overs. I'm gonna make the call. But then the button calls too. And that's not good. Okay, now I definitely need help, and help I get with an ace on the turn. Well, now it's time to bet for value against flush draws, straight draws, pocket pairs. I bet $110 and the button calls again. River is a jack. Shouldn't really change much. I'm gonna go for another bet. Main thing I'm targeting is ace high club draws. I bet $200. He calls. He does have an ace high club draw, but it's ace king of clubs and we chop. I'm not gonna lie, I did not think he was gonna have ace king of clubs here, not raising me pre-flop, but nice hand. Next up, ace 6 of clubs in the low jack. Under the gun +1 limps, I raise to $25 and get called by the hijack and under the gun +1. Flop comes deuce 3, 7 rainbow. Actions on me. Checking seems great, totally standard with 2 opponents, but I decide to get a little out of line. I have a backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. I'm going to rep an overpair. I bet 45 bucks. It doesn't work. Under the gun +1 calls, and the turn is the deuce of clubs. Now my opponent decides to lead for $60, and I don't know, I'm a little confused. It's a small bet. It doesn't look like a strong line to me. I do improve to a flush draw. I'm gonna keep telling the story that I have a big overpair. This deuce would actually be a very good card for me if I had an overpair. I raise to $200. Hopefully, I can get him to fold some mediocre pair, but he does not. He goes all in for $325. Okay, I got caught. There is too much money in the pot, though, so I still have to call. Hope for a flush. River is a king. My opponent shows queen 7 offsuit. I actually thought I could get him off a hand like that, and I lose. And then we get queens. Under the gun, I open to $20. Wild Bronco calls, cutoff calls, big blind calls, 4 ways to a flop of 8, 6, 3 rainbow. Another low rainbow board. Last time I bet representing an overpair. This time I actually have an overpair. I bet $60. The Wild Bronco calls, the big blind calls, going 3 ways to a deuce on the turn. 4-5 does improve to a straight, but the big blind already proved to me he's willing to put in his stack with top pair. The Wild Bronco could call with anything as well. I bet again, this time $200. Bronco goes all in for $420. Big blind folds. I call, crossing fingers. Hopefully I'm ahead. The river is another 8. That's not good. My opponent slowly shows a 3. Am I getting slow rolled here? But then a neighbor says his other card is an ace and my queens are good. Absolute gift, and I win a solid pot. Then pocket 9s under the gun. I open to $20 again, get called by the button, small blind, and big blind. 4 ways to a flop of 7 deuce 4. Yet another low board. When action checks to me, again, same strategy as the past 2 hands. I bet big, 60 bucks, but this time everyone folds and I win a small one. Which brings me to the last hand of the night, ace 8 on the button. I open to $20, only the big blind calls, heads up to a flop of, can you guess it? All low cards. 4 times in a row.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Okay, well, I have a gutter, 2 overs. I'm continuing the trend of big bet, small board. I bet $30, and unfortunately, the big blind calls. The turn is a 7, very interesting. Now I have a double gutter and 2 overs, so when my opponent checks, this seems like a great card to double down on the pressure. I bet $80. He quickly releases his cards, and I take down another one. It was a great session. Some days are so tough, but some days you get good spots, you win your flips, and everything just works out. And this was one of those days. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm Brantzen, and I'll see you in the next one.